so you can see me. Hello. I work for Middlesex University in the Education Liaison Outreach team, and I'm joined by my wonderful colleague Natalie, who works for the same team and has got loads and loads of experience in personal statements. So we're basically here to help you smash out your personal statement and feel really confident and comfortable with it. So our workshop's a little bit different to most universities. We're actually going to put you in the admissions hot seat, and we're going to have you have a look at 4 celebrities or famous people's personal statements, because we're pretending they're going to university. And basically you're going to see what works, what doesn't, and we're going to ask lots and lots of polls throughout this session. So it's an interactive session. We don't just want to talk at you, we want to hear from you as well. So the first poll that we are going to launch is where are you at with your personal statement? So I'm just going to launch it now. Hopefully you should see it pop up on your screen. And just answer a couple of those questions. Where are you basically with your personal statement? I'll give you about 10 more seconds to vote, and then we'll speed on through. So we've got quite a few people who haven't started. This is good. Keep on voting. And it's all anonymous, by the way. There's no wrong answers either. No one's going to know who's voted. So got a couple more trickling in. All right, I'm going to end it after 30 seconds. Brilliant. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got most people haven't started, but they want to go to university in September 2022, and it is on the to-do list. Amazing. You guys are already a step ahead because you're planning ahead, so that's great. And a few people have started but need a little bit of help, and a few people want some tips and don't have a clue what a personal statement is. Not a problem. We will sort you out. Brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to stop that one. Wonderful. That's the poll. Okay, so Natalie, over to you.
Okay, so let's help you write your personal statement. Who's Marcus Rashford? He's a footballer, he's a champion of free school meals, and he wants to study politics. And then you've got Malia. She's a female education activist and wants to study human rights. And we're going to look at Nicola Adams, who's a boxer and wants a degree in dance. And then we've got Boris Johnson, who's a politician and wants to study theatre arts at degree. So having a structure makes a clear argument and makes it easier for the admissions staff to read your personal statement. So separate your personal statement into sections, looking at the following: academic, your reasons for choosing that choice of your course, which course would you like to study and why, should you have done your research, your school or college experience, what you've learned from your current studies, how do you feel they help you progress on to further education, and is there a particular project you've enjoyed, excelled at, and that's really inspired you? What skills do you feel you have developed during the course of your studies? And then non-academic will be your work experience or voluntary work experience. Think about you may have done some paid work experience or voluntary. So think about the sorts of things you may have done, and think about your levels of sports and interactions that you may have done as well.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks, Nat. So we'll go into all of that in a bit more detail, so don't worry about remembering it all straight away. So as Nat said, the personal statement, it's really, really important that you have a clear structure, and we're going to talk about that literally on the next slide. But it is approximately 500 words, so it's about a page long. We do have a really great video, really, really short 5-minute video on personal statements. We're not going to play it for you now, but if you go onto our YouTube channel, you will be able to find it. So let's have a look at the structure. Okay, so we've got rule of thirds. That's what we're calling it. So this is a personal statement that actually came from a student that we were helping with last year. So that is how much 500 words or 4,000 characters looks like. It is just a page long. But obviously you have to pack that page with all of the vital information. So we call it the rule of thirds, and this is how we recommend you structure your personal statement really clearly. So in the blue boxes, we've got where you're talking about your academic experience. So the first most important question you need to answer in the first sentence of your personal statement is, why do you want to study this course? Okay, that's the first question you need to answer. Next, after you've answered that question, you talk about why you want to study this course. You need to talk about your experience at school and how that's prepared you for university. How has your experience at school or college prepared you for studying this course specifically? And then the last of the blue boxes is, are you involved in any sports clubs or societies? That might seem a bit random, but actually it's about showing your extracurricular activities, showing your proactivity, and also showing all of those skills that come with doing those kind of sports and clubs, like leadership or teamwork. So that's that's the 2/3 of your personal statement should be talking about school or college. Then we'll go over to the orange boxes. This is a little bit more fun. This is talking about non-academic, any kind of experience that you've got outside of school or college. So maybe you've got a part-time job, or perhaps you've done some voluntary experience. That kind of stuff is really, really important to include, especially if you can draw relevant skills and experiences out of that, whatever you're doing, whether it's a volunteer job or it's an actual paid job. Also, any other activities, maybe you've got some hobbies as well. The people who are reading this want to know a bit about you. So it's good to just put in a one line even about some hobbies that you quite enjoy doing, and then wrap it all up with a concluding statement. This doesn't need to be long. You've already done all the hard work detailing what you need to do. The concluding statement should be really, really short, simple, to the point. Something along the lines of, I believe I should be a student at your university because of X, Y, Z. One sentence, maybe two. By the way, we're going to ask you questions on all of this stuff in a bit. So hopefully you're paying attention. We'll see when we launch some more polls. All right, let's crack on.
So who reads your personal statement? You'll be pleased to know it's not a robot. It will be a real person within the university. It will be an admissions tutor, an academic, or it could be the admissions officers that will be reading your personal statement. UCAS process your application, but they don't read your personal statement. They're not involved with any of the decision making. It's all down to each university. So it's really important that you make a really good impression when you're writing your personal statement and thinking about who is going to be reading it. They will be specialists in that field.
Brilliant. We did just have a quick question about where will this recorded session be. This is going to be sent to you automatically to the email address that you use to sign up to this session. So you don't even have to do anything. Automatically it will land in your inbox and you can watch it back at your leisure on demand. Okay, cool. So we're going to start we've got our 5 questions. Why do you want to study this course? This is the most important question, as I mentioned, that you need to answer in your personal statement. So we're going to go through bit by bit how to write the personal statement. And like I said, this is the first one that you should do. To help you guys, we're going to give you 2 examples by Marcus Rashford. So we're going to pretend that Marcus wants to go to university and study politics. We think he'd be amazing at it. And he's going to write his personal statement, opening lines. I'm going to give you 2 examples, read them out to you, and then you need to decide in a poll which one you think he should use in his personal statement. So example number 1, can't get my words out today, sorry. The reason why I want to study for a degree is because of the following reasons. I want to get a higher education and better qualification. I want to gain more experience and knowledge. I want to improve my political skills, and I want to have a good career later. Oh, we've just been joined by my colleague Sophie. Hello. You've got extra support, by the way. If you ask any questions, she'll be able to help you. Okay, cool. So that is example number 1. So have a think about, if you're an admissions person reading that, what kind of what sense do you get from this person? Like, how motivated do you feel they are to do this course? Would you accept them on that? Let's have a look at example number 2. Okay, so number 2, I want to study a politics degree because I'm passionate about having a positive impact on people's lives. I'd love to be able to use my degree to affect positive change within our government. Punchy stuff. All right, I'm going to launch a poll. You guys have got 20 seconds to decide which one you think he should use. Okay, so launching it now. All anonymous voting, give it a go. What do you think it should be? This is why we need the countdown music, isn't it? All right, they're coming in fast. We've got a few more to go, so I'll give you another 10 seconds. Have a read through and think about which one do you think's better. All right, brilliant. Everyone voted pretty much. Okay, I'm going to end it there. Awesome. Okay, so almost 90% of you have said number 2 and 11% of you have said number 1. So I can reveal that number 2 we would recommend using. Now the reason why we'd recommend Marcus using this one is because 1, he talks about the actual degree he wants to study. You would be amazed at how many people forget to actually reference that. 2, he talks about his passion for it and why he wants to study it. So you really get a sense of him answering that question. I want to study this degree because of this. Number 1, if you have a look, he doesn't really list why he's passionate or why he wants to study the course. He just says he wants to get a higher degree and better qualification. There's also a couple of spelling mistakes. There's experience is missing an E. So this one would definitely need to have another draft or maybe a rewrite before it's sent to the admissions team. Okay, over to you, Nat.
So now we're going to look at work experience and voluntary work experience. What have you done? And so we're going to look at Nicola Adams. So this is a great example. This year I took part in a dancing competition where I learned great team working skills as I had to work with my partner to create new routines every week. Working in this challenging environment and within a close-knit team greatly improved my communication skills. Or do you think number 2? I took part in a dance show and it was hard and grueling and tough, but it went well. I found it joyful and I think I would be good if I learned more about it. So what do you think is the better option of the 2, number 1 or number 2? We'll give you a minute to answer that. Again, it is all anonymous, so just to give you an idea.
Yep, have launched the poll. They're coming in. All right, I'll give you 5 more seconds. Any last minute ones? Yep, trickling in. Brilliant. Okay, I'm going to end it there.
Brilliant. So
I think you guys are on it.
98% think number 1 and 2% think number 2. Well, for me, it is number 1. The reason being is this year they took part in a dancing competition where they learned great teamwork and skills, and they talked about how they worked with their partner. They've created new routines, all of those types of things. Whereas number 2 is really, for me, it looks like they didn't really enjoy it. They've used the words hard and grueling and tough. Would that show that they are really excited about being in a dance competition or being part of a team? There you go.
Brilliant. Thanks, Nat. Okay, so the next part of your personal statement, so you should include, and this is the last of the academic rule of thirds bit of the structure that we talked about in the structuring slide. So how has your experience at school or college prepared you for university? Okay, really, really big question. Sorry, it's probably hearing my dog shaking. She's not barked yet, so this is good. Okay, so we're going to use Malala as a brilliant example. Malala is amazing. She is a huge education activist. You might have heard of her. Hopefully you have. So we're going to say that she's writing a personal statement. She's trying to answer this question of how her time at school or college has helped prepare her. So number 1, this is what she's given it a go, and she said, my school campaign for girls to be in education has prepared me for studying a human rights degree, as it taught me the value of education and the importance of standing up for one's rights. Okay, so example number 2, when I was at school, I was a passionate advocate for female education. Leading this project gave me the skills, experience, and insight I need to study human rights at university and furthered my passion for standing up for one's beliefs. Okay, so both quite strong. So I'm going to let me just get the poll up. All right, so you guys, same as before, which one would you rather see as an admissions team and that you would accept her on? Have a go. Okay, they're coming in, brilliant. Oh, it's a bit different results to the last one. Okay, I'm gonna give you 5 more seconds for anyone who's undecided. Okay, brilliant. Okay, cool. All right, so 96% of you have said number 2. Now, this is really interesting for me because both of these are actually acceptable. Both of these would be fine. Number 1, there isn't anything wrong with number 1 as an example. However, what I think most of you have picked up on, even if without realizing it, is the skills and experience words that Malala's used in her example number 2. Okay, skills and experience is what your personal statement should really shout about, and those buzzwords for admissions team, they're like gold dust. So I highly recommend, if you're talking about any kind of experience that you've had at school or college, think about what skills did you gain from it, what was the experience, and how is that relevant to your degree. Really try and shape it like that. She's also used quite professional language like advocate. So again, if you want to try and make your personal statement a little bit more professional sounding, you can give it a go and try and write that similar to number 2. Brilliant. Well done, guys. I'm going to move swiftly on.
Okay, so it's over to me. Hi, everyone. So this one is around looking at whether you've been involved in any sports clubs or activities at school or college. So how do you feel that these things have helped you to progress onto higher education? So perhaps you've taken part in some extracurricular projects or maybe even some sports activities as well. Did you enjoy it? Did you excel in it, and did it inspire you? So from this, you can also then look at what skills you might have developed during this kind of session, and how did you balance maybe some of these activities with some of your kind of schoolwork and outside life? So as an example, you might be able to say that you were maybe part of a netball team, or you worked as part of a team, and how these skills are then going to help you while you're at university. So we have Boris on the screen, and he has written a little bit about his experience in kind of drama theatre team. So the first example says, recently I took part in the school play where I got the chance to experience all aspects of theatre, from staging to performing. This was an invaluable experience for me as I learned to work as a team to tight deadlines, and we achieved a shared goal. Then we've got the second example. In school, I enjoyed performing. I always love a joke with my mates, always entertaining. I'm pretty great at it. I'm fantastic at improvisation. In fact, I don't even need a script. Also, one of my skills is pointing and umming. So over to you. Which one would you decide is the best one to admit Boris in, based off of what's on your screen now? Okay.
Coming in.
I can't see the poll.
Yeah, I forgot you can't see them.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't see it. So you'll have to tell me what people say.
No problem. I'll end it in 3, 2, 1 and share the results. There we go.
Okay, can I see the shared result?
So we've got 98% say number 1, with one person saying number 2.
Maybe that was a slip. Maybe that might have been a slip of the mouse, or a slip of
we always get one jokester.
So yeah, you're 100% correct. It is number 1. And it's really obvious that the kind of second example doesn't provide any tangible experience. It's very waffly, and it also really doesn't kind of show a serious person. So no admissions team is really going to take this second example seriously. So number 1 is a really great way to provide some context about his experiences at school and college, with other activities related to the area of study that he wants to go into.
Yeah, and just now I can see some great questions coming in, so thank you for those. Please do keep them coming in and we'll get to them at the end of the session. Okay, we should be in about 5-10 minutes. Right, brilliant. Okay, so the last question that we have got is, are there any other activities you're interested in outside of school or college? Okay, so have a think about what you get up to outside of school or college. Obviously, perhaps in the past year and a half, it might have been a bit different, but of course you can talk about any activities that you did before the pandemic. They're not just looking for super recent. They understand that things might have taken a bit of a standstill in the past year or so. So we're gonna have a look at Marcus again, because he's awesome. So we're going to have a look at how he answers this question. So number 1, him talking about his extracurricular activities. He says, I really like helping people. I've taken part in some community projects that make a big difference, which felt really good. And this has helped me to decide that politics is the right career for me. Okay. Then example number 2, it's a little bit longer, so bear with me. Outside of school, I'm a champion for young people. I believe they should have access to basic necessities such as food and education. Recently, I contacted my local MP, and as a result, we were able to change the policy around free school meals. This has given me further motivation to study a degree in politics. All right, so same as before. If you guys want to let me know which one you think's stronger, which one you think's better, and which one would you rather see as an admissions team? Okay, we've got them coming in nice and fast, brilliant. This one is slightly harder. Okay, I'll give you guys 5 more seconds, but you're getting a lot speedier at voting, which is good. Okay, I'll end that in 3, 2, 1. Brilliant. Okay, so most of you, again, over 90% are saying number 2. and a few of you have said number 1. Again, a bit before, like Malala's example, there isn't anything really wrong with number 1. You could use it. However, you're not making the most out of your experience. Okay. It's all about milking what you've done. It's all about really drawing out those skills and experience that you've done. And also asking yourself, why did you do those? So number 1, yes, it's really nice that he's helped people and he's taken part in this community project, but it doesn't go on to say what kind of big difference it made and why it's really helped him decide that politics is the right career. Whereas number 2, again, he's using quite professional language, talking about being a champion for young people. He's talking about his ethos as well, that he believes they should have access to basic necessities. So what you guys have all picked up on in choosing this one is that you're getting a sense of who he is and what he's passionate about. And that is exactly what you need to do in your personal statement. Also, he talks about how he brings it round, he brings it relevant to his degree, because he talks about how this experience has given him further motivation to study a degree in politics. That really is the key. Talking about your experience, the skills you gain from it, and how it's relevant to your degree, and then you can't really go wrong if you remember that. By the way, just to let you know, if all of this seems like a lot, don't worry, we do have a personal statement workbook that's actually in your Get Into Uni goodie bag, but it'll also be in a link in the bottom of the video recording on this. So everything is set up to help you, so you don't have to remember all this straight away, because it's a lot of information. Okay.
So over to me again. So your conclusion. So this is your chance to kind of pull all of the information that you've said within your personal statement together in a very small and concise way. So if you remember from the document and the image that was shown to you earlier in the presentation, your conclusion doesn't need to be that big. It just needs to pull all of the information in a really, really clear and concise way. So let's have a look at what Nicola's written for her conclusions. So first one, I believe I would excel as a dance student at university, thanks to my experience in dance competitions, my lifelong passion for being on stage, and my skills as a team player. And the second one, to conclude, I believe I would be a great dance student because I've danced in lots of competitions before, such as the time when I was on Strictly Come Dancing, where I also had to work as a team player. I also know that I'm driven and motivated thanks to my career in competitive boxing, where I have trained 7 days a week, 10 hours a day. So over to you. Which one is the best one to use as Nicola's conclusion? How are we doing?
They're coming in. Yep. A bit more even this time.
Okay.
All right, I'll give you guys 10 more seconds. If you're not sure, just pick one, because it is a bit trickier. All right, I'll end this in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so number 1 has got 17, so that's 38%. Number 2 has got 62%.
Okay, so we tricked you on this one. It's actually number 1 that we would suggest is the better concluding statement, whilst number 2 has a lot of really, really good information and things that should be spoken about as part of the personal statement. As I said before, the conclusion needs to be very short and sweet and to the point. The information that's in number 2 should have been put earlier on in the personal statement, when you're kind of keeping the reader's attention and drawing to experiences to kind of inform why you want to do the particular course of study. So do remember, short and sweet for your conclusion. If you find that you still have lots more to say in that concluding statement, then have a think about where you might be able to put that within your personal statement earlier on.
Sorry, I saw my dog out there for a minute.
No, that's fine. I can carry on. I'm happy to carry on.
No, it's fine. Don't worry. She's so barky. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so let's have a look at some of the top do's and don'ts of your personal statement. Okay, so we highly recommend that you start early. Most of you already are. So Sophie, you missed at the beginning, we did the poll, and most people are looking for 2022, so it's fantastic. They're already ahead of the game, which is great. Some other really key things that we recommend is obviously be honest. As Natalie mentioned earlier, these are admissions experts. They can spot lie or fluff very, very easily. So make sure you're honest and genuine, because you deserve to go to university. You don't have to make up stuff to try and prove it. So make all of your experience relevant to university or the university or your subjects. Remember, sorry, not the university, to going to university. That's what we've talked about loads in the previous slides, is making your experience relevant. So whatever you've done, whether you're part of a hockey club or a reading group or anything like that, if that's the experience that you've done, you can make that relevant, you can use it and really milk the skills out of it. Be enthusiastic. As we saw on the one that was a bit negative, it kind of puts admissions people off. This is your chance to shine and show that you're really excited about going to university, and showing that you're interested in the course as well. It might just help you get a place. Definitely research the area you want to go into, especially if you're going to more professional courses. They'll want to see that you're serious about doing that course at university, and show your strengths. You'll have loads and loads of strengths. Outline your strengths and outline your ideas clearly, and doing the structure is really, really helpful in doing that. And that's why we recommend you use our personal statement workbook, because it literally takes you step by step. So you can't not do a structure when you fill that in. And as we mentioned, if you're applying for a joint honours degree, for example, drama and English, which is something that I actually did, don't forget to talk about both subjects. So in my personal statement, I talked about my love for both drama and English, and also the skills and experience, how it's relevant to both. So it should be equally weighted. Just a few don't things. Don't make your statement too short. You're a whole person, you've got loads and loads to talk about, and trust me, one page isn't enough. So just make sure that you don't sell yourself short, basically. Don't Google for interesting quotes. You wouldn't believe how many people might start their personal statement with an interesting quote. Admissions teams aren't interested in famous people or other people that said. They're interested in what you have to say. So make sure you don't use a quote. And if you do, really, really, really think about if it's really worth more than what you have to say. Don't simply list information. Something like this, bullet points and everything, it just shows that you've not really taken the time to do your personal statement, and it doesn't really bode well, especially if you're having to do exams or coursework at university. They'll want to know that you can put in the effort into a piece of writing for when you start university. And really don't let spelling and grammatical errors spoil your statement. There's no real excuse for it now. We've got Word, there's loads of like apps and software that can help check your spelling, grammar, but also friends, family, teachers, anyone you can grab to read it over. Some universities even offer sort of incentives and offer personal statement workshops like this one to really help you spot those mistakes. So those are just a few do's and don'ts. Hopefully they'll make sense to you. Whoops, there we go.
So now it's your chance to ask any questions that you might have. Please do ask away. This is what we're here for. We've got quite a few minutes before we need to end this session. So if you do have any burning questions that you want to ask us, please do. I'm just going to pop in the workbook. So I'm putting in the goodie bag into the chat for you now. So that's gone out to everybody. If you click on this link, that will take you to the goodie bag for this whole week. And don't forget, there are lots more support sessions for you this week. We've got student finance. We've also got a student panel where we'll be discussing the differences around apprenticeships, degree apprenticeships and traditional degrees. So if you are kind of in limbo at the moment, you're not sure which one you want to do, come along to that. There's loads of subject specific sessions as well. And yeah, within this goodie bag, all of the links to all of those extra resources are there. So please do click onto that.
Brilliant. Shall we go through some of these questions? Because we've got lots of good ones.
Yep, off you go.
Brilliant.
You might
Okay,
have to call them out, sorry, because
yeah, no, that's not a problem. I can spot a couple that Natalie is already going to be great at. So the first one we've got, as an international student, should I also mention why I want to study in the UK? I would say yes, definitely. Talk about whatever city or university that you're going to. Talk about why, your motivations. That should be really, really key to sort of explaining why you want to study that course. So 100% would recommend. Anything to add for that, Nat or Soph? Apart from just a big yes.
No, yeah, I mean, I agree with you with that one, Rosie. That, yeah.
Cool.
The next
okay, we've got.
question,
yeah, have you seen that one?
Yeah, I have. That's why I saved it, because I wanted to answer it to everybody. They're asking, another university has mentioned that we should also write the reason why we want to go to that uni. how can we include that when we're writing only one person statement? Well, I would say no, you don't put I want to go to Middlesex University because of. You don't mention the university. You've got 5 choices. They all have equal weight. So it's all about the course and the subject area of interest is what to include, not the university itself. And they will not be able to see it either. As I say, each university has equal weight when you're applying for 5, when you've got 5 choices.
Yeah. It's important to discuss as part of your personal statement why you want to go to university, so university in general, but no university should be expecting you to write solely about them unless you're only making 1 application. But if you're making 5 applications, so you've got your 5 choices and you're using those, then you should be able to, as Natalie said, they all carry equal weight. So you're not expected to discuss one institution specifically.
Brilliant. Another one we've got, what should you write here if you aren't part of any clubs or schools at college? That was during when we were doing the slide about talking about what have you done whilst in school or college and how has that experience helped you? So do you want to take that one, or
who's going to take that one?
I was going to say, it doesn't have to necessarily be particular like clubs or societies. As part of your school or college, did you have a speaker come in? Did you attend any kind of lectures? Are you a prefect? Have you taken on areas of extra responsibility as part of your time at school or college? There's lots of different things that you can speak about. It doesn't have to just be sports clubs or societies. I don't know if Nat, you've got any other suggestions?
Think about what you've done whilst you've maybe been at work as well, so within that, and how you can use it in a slightly different way rather than related to work experience is what I would say there, if you haven't been part of any particular clubs.
Yep, definitely. Brilliant. Okay, so we've got another one. If you choose different courses but in a similar field, how do you mention it in your personal statement? So as I did explain, so I did English and drama, and they were completely different courses, but in a similar field. So I just talked equally about each one and how I was prepared and how I was excited to do each one. So I talked a bit about the coursework projects that I'd done whilst at college for the English part of it, and then an extracurricular play that I was actually in. It was a village pantomime, but it was still brilliant, and I still milked it and talked about the teamwork and the commitment, time commitment it took, and tried to talk about it equally. There are a couple of degrees that you have to be quite careful with what other subjects you're selecting. So, for example, nursing and midwifery, as I believe, Natalie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you want to study adult nursing, for example, you should have very clear motivations why you want to help adults. And if you also applied for a child nursing, it might confuse the admissions team as to you're not really sure which avenue you want to go down. So I'd just be a bit careful with what you're applying for, basically. Nat, is there anything to add to that one?
No, I agree with you, Rosie, there. It's just what they're looking for, especially if you're applying for a professional program, is that you've actually done you've done your research as well, as to you know that you definitely want to be a mental health nurse, or you definitely want to be a midwife. They are 2 different types of nurses or professions, so it's ensuring that you know the difference between them all, really, from a midwife to a nurse, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you choose, can we get the recording will come afterwards.
The recording will be emailed to you automatically tomorrow.
Especially moving countries. You can talk about moving countries, but it's how you are going to incorporate that within your personal statement, really, and where is the depends on what you're applying for. Would you agree with that, Rosie?
Yeah, I would say that it's quite similar to there was another one that said, is it good to include languages as I speak 3 fluently? And I would say yes, as long as you can make it relevant to the degree, because of course, knowing 3 languages fluently is a huge skill, and if let's say you're studying something like English, for example, or even politics, your knowledge of 3 different languages, 3 countries, 3 cultures is fantastic, and not most other students aren't going to have that. So I think it's about thinking about those skills, and also moving to another a country that is adjusting to a new culture. Those are skills that you probably aren't even thinking about. So kind of write down a list of those things, what kind of skills might be included to them, and then how you can make it relevant to the degree that you're applying for, because it is a fantastic skill to have.
Yeah,
brilliant. Okay.
And then the next person's asking, can I get tips on what to put on my personal statement for child nursing? Well, tomorrow evening, is it tomorrow evening or is it Thursday? The nursing department are going to be running a nursing and interview workshop where the admissions tutor will be there, and you can ask that question direct to the admissions tutor tomorrow if you want to come to that. It will be in the links that you would have been sent. But just think about why you want to look after a sick child, really. And who else do you look after when you're looking after a sick child? Think about those sorts of things, like the parents and the family, how you support the family. If you've got a sick child, it's quite a stressful time for a family.
It's also worth noting, in the Get Into Uni goodie bag that Sophie put a link to is our nursing and midwifery interview workbook. And that lists all of the criteria that interviewers are looking for, all of the most common questions, top tips, and a link to our 5-minute video workshop guide as well. It's a bit, and that's nursing midwifery is a bit of her speciality, so we've got some really good resources for it. So do make sure you go into the goodie bag and download those if you're interested in nursing midwifery.
I mean, the best opening statement is what's best for you, really, isn't it, Rosie? You know,
oh yes, what's the best opening sentence?
Everybody else's. It shouldn't be the same. You see what I'm saying? So
it's difficult.
I would say you just need to write from the heart, really. Don't try to be anyone else. Don't, as we said before, Google for interesting quotes. I would also say don't ask your peers what they're writing when you're initially kind of making notes about what you're going to put in your personal statement. There can often be this kind of peer pressure around what have you written, what have you done. Just, you know, you need to take it in your own time and write from the heart. You need to write why you're passionate about studying that particular program and why you want to go to university. And it's going to take you a few drafts, so don't expect to have like the perfect opening statement initially. And you can kind of, you know, make a few notes or a few opening statements and then decide which one is the best one for you. But starting early, as it seems like you all are, which is brilliant, is the best thing to do, because you can kind of write a few opening statements as you go through.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if writing isn't really your thing, if you're not a fan of words, I would just get your friends or your family to ask you the question, why do you want to go? Why do you want to go to university and study this course? And whatever your answer will be, it'll be quite natural. It'll be just talking to them. It'll be honest and everything. Try and just shape that into one sentence. That would be my best advice. You could,
that's a really good point, actually. And if you think you might forget what you write or what you say, maybe record yourself. So have an interview with your family members or your teachers or your friends, and record what it is that you say, and then kind of take that and put it into a statement.
You just made me think of the future of 10 years from now. We'll be doing videos, not personal statements anymore. Everyone will be doing their own video. Oh, scary world. That's just my brain, by the way. That's not what's happening, just so that you know. My brain going crazy. Okay, what have we got here? We've got, if you're not sure exactly what course you want to do yet, what can you include in your personal statement? Oh, that's a tricky one. Natalie, I'm going to put that one to you.
I mean, you could start to structure it and think about all of your teamwork, your communication skills for anything you're applying for, because it's how your transferable skills that you can put in your personal statement. But really, that particular person, you need to really do your research around subjects right now, is what I would recommend. Is that, like, if you go on to tasterdays.com, there's loads of university subject specific taster days. There may be some stuff on YouTube channels. We've got loads of resources from subject specific stuff. Really do your research. If you know somebody that may be in that profession, or studied that particular course at any university, talk to them about it. Try to get as much knowledge as you can right now before writing your personal statement, because you've got a bit of time. if it's for 2022.
Yep,
Do
absolutely. We've got we just did a session of yesterday, Sophie and I did a session of how to find your uni match, basically how to choose your course or university. It's on demand already now. It's on the webpage that's all of the stuff's advertised that we popped in the chat. It's mdx.ac.uk/get into uni. Watch that back if you want some extra tips on how to research what course is right for you and what university as well, because it is obviously quite a big decision.
There's also, as we said, come along to subject like talks and lectures, and if you've done any work experience in particular areas that you're interested in. There's also a really good website. It's called The Forage. I'll pop it in the chat as well. And they offer kind of virtual work experience and internships in a range of different areas. So if you've got time on your hands, because it's going to be the summer holidays soon, and you want to kind of give a few different subject areas a go and do a bit of work experience or a small internship, just to see if you like that particular area, that's something that I'd suggest doing as well, and that can maybe help you narrow down what it is that you're really passionate about. And also, I guess if you decide that by the time you're supposed to be applying, or by the time you think you might be ready to apply for higher education, if you still haven't decided, then there is no harm in waiting until maybe the next year. Maybe you do a gap year, or maybe you do some more kind of work experience to decide what you want to do. If you are someone who's kind of got a few options or a few different subject areas, then I don't think that you should rush making your decision. If you need to wait another year to make that decision, then that could also be an option for you. I don't know if anyone's got anything else to add.
No, I think I covered that one. Brill. Okay, got another one. Do I have to talk about personal background? For example, I came from Italy 6 years ago. Again, I'd recommend only really talking about it if it is relevant to your degree and to the motivations as why you're going to university. You only have a page to talk about and to really showcase yourself and why you should be accepted. So if it is relevant, so again, if you're doing a course that's like international business or something, international marketing, etc., that market knowledge of a European country will be invaluable, and I highly recommend you put it in. But if it doesn't feel relevant or feels a bit forced when you're putting it in there, I wouldn't recommend it. So yeah, just it always goes back to, is it relevant to my degree and course? Cool. Okay, we've got another one. Could you talk about how COVID affected us? That one's quite a general one. I'd say like affected us how? Maybe if you could put some bit more information. I mean, obviously we've gone through a pandemic. Everyone's been infected in some way. The only thing that we've been saying to some students this year is you guys have had more experience of managing your own time, of being self-motivated, of having to really push yourself through a very, very challenging time. And those are skills that you might not necessarily have learned until getting into the workplace. I was rubbish at time management when I first started my first job, really poor, and wasn't very good at sort of self-motivating. And you guys have already had to learn that because you've had to do virtual learning. So again, if it's relevant to your degree, and it most likely will be, because you'll probably still be doing some form of virtual learning next year, even if it's like one class a week or a month or something, those skills that you've learned in the pandemic will be invaluable to that. I don't know if there's anything you guys want to add to that one.
No, I was just about to say, this is probably the best time to have gained some of those skills that are really going to support you at university as well, because even down to, spending time in the library and motivating yourself to write that essay or read that book or do that assignment, whatever it might be, you're going to have those skills without even knowing it. So you're going to be the most prepared out of all of the years to apply to university. So although it's been quite a negative year and a half, you will have gained some really positive skills out of it that you may not even have known you've got.
Brilliant. Okay. Natalie, I'm going to give this one to you. What happens if the course you applied to, you don't get accepted? What can I do?
Well, first of all, if you start getting unsuccessful decisions back from UCAS, from universities, I would contact the university as soon as possible to find out why. Is it because you don't have the relevant qualifications? Is it because you haven't got the right work experience, maybe? Or is it purely because your personal statement is just not good enough for them? Because if you're applying for a competitive course, they will get, this is just an example, they could have 300 personal statements to read, but they've only actually got 20 places to offer that have got equal opportunity. So it's about, they will first of all look at your qualifications, then maybe your personal statement along with your reference as well. So it could just be down to the fact that you don't have somebody else has got a better reference than you, their personal statement may be better than yours, and they may have higher qualifications than you as well. So these are the things to think about if you're going to be if you're going to be unsuccessful. But if you can try and put something right, for instance, you've missed off a GCSE maths, and one of the entry criteria is GCSE maths, then you may be able to change that decision if it was something as simple as that. But if it's something to do with like an interview as well, where you've just not answered the question as well as somebody else, then you can't do anything about that. But you could try and ask for a bit of feedback to ensure that if you get invited to another interview, you're able to improve on answering the questions that you're being asked.
Yeah, and I'd also say, depending on obviously what course you want to do, that if you don't have any offers from university by August, say, there is something called clearing, which you'll probably see advertised now, because universities are starting to advertise it. And basically, clearing is a fantastic tool for people who are ready to start university in September, but don't have a course yet or university to go to. And through clearing, you can access loads and loads of different courses, research all of them, and see which one you might like to apply for, and then apply through clearing. So, and there's loads of other tools called Clearing Plus, which is like a matchmaking service, which will match you to a course depending on your application. It will use the same information, so you don't even have to do anything. So there are loads and loads of options available to you. So don't worry if you don't get any offers, because there's still lots of opportunities and choices. So if you're looking to go to university next year, I wouldn't worry about it yet. But if you're thinking about starting in September, which I don't think many of you are, then clearing will start to happen. We actually have a support stream on it in August, so just keep your eyes peeled for that, because it will start to be advertised soon. Cool. Okay, Sophie, we haven't heard from you in a while, so shall I read you out one? Okay, so do you have any tips for how to make your personal statement stand out from other applicants? I would imagine there is a lot of very similar ones being submitted to universities. It's a nice one.
Yeah, there are. So firstly, no quotes, because a lot of people will be putting quotes within their personal statement, and also kind of buffing it out with references to books or kind of dictations like in other places. So right from the heart. We've said it a million times. Say what you did, say what the experience was, and what you learned from it. So you really, I think if you follow that process and you explain what skills you've kind of got from whatever experience it is, you're going to really show them why you're so passionate. Putting your experiences in is the best thing I think that you can do. Lots of people will say, oh, I really have a passion for whatever it might be because of this, and then not expand on it. We've seen some personal statements before where they've got great intention and you can see that they probably do like the course, but they're just not showing their passion on paper. Imagine, well, you don't need to imagine, because this is your first encounter with the university when you are delivering your personal statement through UCAS. So you need to have them meet you and know who you are through paper. So that's really important. I think the best thing to also do is maybe pass your personal statement on to friends and family, or people that maybe don't have such a close relationship with you, and see if from reading that, they get a full sense of who you are, and can, provide you with kind of any feedback to improve your personal statement.
Yep, I completely agree. I'd say there is no like perfect first line. There is no like shortcuts to doing a good personal statement. It takes time, it takes hard work, and it does take research and many drafts and lots of feedback, as Sophie said. So I think if you wanted to make sure that you ticked all of the boxes, using a workbook like the one that we've sent you a link to is a really easy way to make sure you include everything, and then you've already got a solid first draft, and then you can like hone it and fine tune it to really sound like a unique and an outstanding personal statement.
And also you can kind of do a bit more research around the universities that you want to go to. I know we've said before about not talking specifically about the universities themselves, but getting a real sense of the type of student that they have at their university and the type of student that's been accepted onto those particular courses. So you can do that via talking to students at like open events, through Unibuddy chat. It will just give you a bit more of a sense of the university itself and the kind of the university culture and community, and that can also sometimes help you with your writing as well.
Right, I'm just going to type one about the 2 courses. So Sophie, if you want to take over reading whilst I'll type.
So weirdly, I can't see any questions.
Oh, can you not?
I don't know what's happened with my. Sorry, Zoom is not my friend today.
It's not playing ball. No worries.
I can't see
in which case,
at all. Sorry.
No, that's all right. Nat, I think the one about caring responsibilities is a good one.
Yeah, is it a good idea to include caring responsibilities at home if you are a carer, or is it off-putting? It depends on in what context you're going to be talking about being a carer. Is it because you've learned something from it? Is it because, how are you going to be talking about being a carer for somebody at home? Or is it just about, for instance, I've got children, so obviously I'm a carer for them, or is it something that you are, for me, if you are a carer, it's quite good, because if you're applying for a course, you may be already studying now, so you've got all of these different types of commitments that you're juggling your time with. So it's just about how you want to use being a carer, really. What do you think, Soph?
Yeah, agreed. It's definitely about kind of how you spin all of your experiences for kind of positive skills or positive learnings. So yeah, as Nat said, you're juggling loads of responsibilities, so you're managing your time well, and that's actually a really important skill when you go to university, because you will have to be going to lectures, seminars, doing your own personal study, and most of the time people will get a job while they're at university as well. So those are really, really good skills to be able to use and draw upon when you're talking about it within your personal statement. I think it's a great thing to be able to talk about.
Thank you. Is there let me have a look at the other questions. How can you Rosie's going to talk about them. Where should we I struggle with my well-being. It depends. There's somebody that's talked about well-being here. It's how I wouldn't make it too personal from that point of view, and it depends on how you've been able to learn from your well-being and support that's being provided, is what I would say. Just think about what that personal tutor or the academic that's reading your personal statement needs to know about you, is what I would say to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it going to make them whatever you're going to say, is it going to make them offer you a place at the university, or is it something that's too personal, is what I would say.
Sometimes, yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you're able, if you're going for a course that requires an interview, you can perhaps kind of sow the seed within your personal statement. And then often they'll ask you about your personal statement anyway, which is why it's really important to be honest and not kind of embellish the truth, let's say. Won't say lie, but embellish the truth within the personal statement. So if you are looking at a course that's interviewing, then perhaps you're able to kind of talk about that in a little bit more detail. It's also really important as well, aside from personal statements, if you have struggled with your mental health, to make sure that the universities you're choosing have good support systems available. So do your research in advance, go to any kind of wellbeing lectures or live talks. We run them quite often here at Middlesex. And, you know, if you're going to an open event, talk to the facilities team and just make sure that that is the place that you want to be at, because university can be stressful and sometimes we might need a bit of extra support and help, not just with wellbeing, but with academic writing or, you know, fees and funding as well. So yeah, just make sure that wherever you're going, those support services are kind of tip top.
Thanks, Sophie. This is a good one for you, Sophie, to answer. Is it good to include books, cases, podcasts, movies, etc., that encourage you to choose a certain degree?
So a bit like what Natalie said before, we would always say try to avoid adding in too much that kind of takes away from your personal opinion. However, in some cases, and these can be quite unique cases, referring to a particular podcast or book or something that dramatically enhanced your kind of learning or your passion for that particular subject, then yes, you can add it in. But more often than not, actually your own opinion, it kind of holds more weight than referring to a particular book or a quote or a podcast, whatever it might be. So yeah, I mean, if you wanted to include it in your initial drafts and then kind of pick it apart and reword it and rewrite it so that it kind of encapsulates your opinion as well, then that would probably be the best thing to do. But if it is something that really, really kind of you know, made you decide that that is exactly what I want to study and that's exactly what I want to do, then yeah, I mean, that's your truth, and that should be spoken about.
Yeah, I would just add to that, I was sitting in a creative lecture, I think it was a film lecture, and the lecturer said that it was quite important for the applicants to talk about their influences, and I think that's kind of a key word to use if you are going to talk about you know, podcasts or films or books that have really inspired and influenced you to that decision, because consuming creative material is such a key part of any creative course that I think it's quite important to include in your personal statement. So yeah, depending on which course you're doing, I'd recommend. I can take the next one. Where should we include clubs and activities from outside of school? So that one is in the, should be towards the bottom of your personal statement. So that's in the 2/3 about you outside of school or college. So highly recommend you pop it in and just make sure to make it relevant to your degree. So for example, Marcus's example where you guys all chose, the right one was where he did a campaign for free school meals outside of school, how it helped him be a champion for, you know, for food and champion for against child poverty. So that was the example that we used. If you remember that one, just think back to whatever you're doing outside of school, how to make it relevant and how to really make the most out of it to show off your skills and experience.
Use the workbook as well. So it's in the chat now.
We keep saying it, don't we?
Yeah, we do. But there is a section. So everything that we spoke about earlier today, it is in a section. So there is a section about why you want to study this course, and within that there are more questions that get asked, so between 3 to 5 questions per section, which will enable you to start writing some answers. There's do and don't examples as well within there, so that's your real base for being able to kind of add all of this information in. So definitely check out that workbook, and then you'll see exactly where it fits within your personal statement as well.
I think the person who asked that question's just followed up with another one saying, can you add clubs and work experience even if it's not relevant to the course? And I think you can challenge us if you write the course and whatever club or activity you've been in, and we'll see if we can try and turn it around to make it relevant to your degree. So that's a challenge. If you want to put it in as anonymous, we'll see if we can milk it and turn it into some experience for you. So if you guys want to challenge.
Can I answer the next question, Rosie?
Go for it now.
Are the procedures for entries and considerations still the same as earlier, or is it different due to the current pandemic? The processes are still exactly the same. You still apply through UCAS. There are still equal consideration deadlines, which is if you're applying before the 26th of January 2022, you will get equal consideration, and we will still have to have a decision back by end of March, early April, on whether we will offer you a place or you're unsuccessful. For universities at the moment, nothing's changed for 2022. All of the dates have been announced, and it is still the same process for 2022 entry. Anyone else got anything to add to that?
You are the wise one in all things UCAS. Brilliant. Okay,
Someone
so
did write within the chat around any particular links to register for upcoming webinars. So you can use the Get Into Uni page to go on to any webinars that we've got this week. If you do just go on to mdx.ac.uk, you'll see on the homepage there'll be a link to an events page. So any public events that we're running will be there. Also, any open days that we do as well, we often will run an international talk as well as part of that. So there are lots of different opportunities for you. So just, yeah, your main base is mdx.ac.uk, and you'll be able to kind of go from there.
Sophie, I've got a great question for you. Do you need a personal statement if you were applying to an apprenticeship as well as university?
So you won't need a personal statement per se through UCAS, because if you're applying for a degree apprenticeship, you apply via the employer. So what you probably will need is some sort of cover letter. So I mean, you can see it as something very similar, because it's a way of selling yourself to an employer, and providing some context about who you are, why you want to particularly study that degree apprenticeship, and why you want to be with that employer. So you'll have an interview, and you may have to also do some other kind of verbal reasoning or kind of abstract reasoning, numerical tests as well, or assessments. But in terms of the kind of content that you write, it doesn't need to be exactly the same as your personal statement, because that is around studying a particular course, but you will need to talk about yourself and write a cover letter. And for that, there are lots of kind of templates that you can get online, and a really, really good website for degree apprenticeships is a company called Rate My Apprenticeship, and I'll pop that in the chat for you. They have lots of information about how to prepare for degree apprenticeship applications and interviews as well. So yeah, hopefully that helps you.
Okay, Rosie.
Oh yeah,
you've seen that person has actually responded.
I have. We've got two actually, and I've been having a mull. So the challenge of how can you make the experience of going to police cadets be relevant to psychology? I would say that's highly relevant. I think that's a fantastic example, and 100% would talk about your time at police cadets. I don't know too much about police cadets. I had a very, very quick Google to just make sure it was what I thought it was. And the things that you're learning there is, it's all, as far as I'm aware, police is all about communication, and it's about understanding people. So as a police cadet, you know, what kind of experiences have you had? What kind of things that you've done, like activities where you've had to engage with people, where you might have had to influence someone, you might have seen a conflict and seen how it might have been resolved. All of those skills will be amazingly relevant to psychology. So 100%. I've just had a look at the, like, literally put skills you learn as a police cadet. Have a look at that, because there's some really, really useful ones for psychology. And then the slightly harder challenge, someone's put media and communication degree. How can you link martial arts and dance as relevant to media and communication. Now, Sophie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you're very, very good at dance. But dancers are very good at attention to detail.
Yeah,
obviously you're learning
and creativity. Definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah,
100%.
and working to kind of tight deadlines, being quite punctual, managing your time correctly. Yeah, the list can kind of go on. Working as a team. Yeah,
and it is a form of communication at the end of the day, dance. So 100% you could link that. Martial arts, you could probably do you know, the discipline and the timekeeping and working with other people as well, but I think the dance one's a really, really good, strong example for you. So hopefully that shows you guys that you really can milk your experience and the skills that you've gained without even realizing it. You can make them relevant to a degree. It's like magic. Cool. Okay, so we've got a couple of last ones. Can you add clubs? Oh yeah, that's the one we've just done. My eyes are going cross-eyed. What section would you mention summer school experience in? I suppose it's a bit in the middle, isn't it, on the fence, but I would probably put that one as in activities within school, because it's a school organized activity. So yeah, that one's quite simple. Again, if you download the workbook that we keep mentioning to you, it'll ask you questions like, what did you do whilst doing this activity at school? What skills did you learn? Blah, blah, blah. And it will really help you to shape that.
You may find some crossover between what you've done inside and outside of school as well. But that's why the workbook's really handy, because you can look at some of the questions and kind of pick which one you need to answer, and how you kind of formulate your sentences and the statement as a whole. So yeah, download it now.
You sound scary.
No, sorry, I wasn't meaning to be scary, but yeah, no, it's honestly a really, really good tool. Yeah.
Nat, do you want to take this one? What can I do if I'm not sure why I'm choosing a subject to study? For example, business.
Well, what I'd be saying to you is, where do you see your end goal? What is your career, your chosen career? What you're thinking about, what you want to go in at the end, and then work your way back as to why you've chosen, and that should give you an answer as to why you've chosen that particular business course. For instance, what I would say is business management at Middlesex and business management at another university. Look at the modules in those, look at why if you've picked the general business management course, because usually with business management in the first year you do the same, and then you separate in year 2 to do a slightly different pathway maybe, which could be so it's a general business management degree, but then you just specialize in a certain pathway. It could be around project management, it could be around what's the other ones? There's quite a few different pathways. There's other pathways within business. So again, if you're picking up a general business management degree, then looking at the pathways that it could lead to at the end. So that for me is what you should be looking at when you're thinking about business, and what's your end goal within business.
I'd also say maybe see what opportunities are available to you at the universities that you're considering as well. Can you do a year in industry? Can you do a year abroad? Like, what sort of experience are you going to get while you're actually on those courses? And also, initially, why is it that you've picked business management? As Nat said, is it because you've seen a job in the kind of future, or a job that kind of resonates with you that says requires a business management degree? Or are there like outside influences telling you need to do, or that a business management degree might be the best one for you? Because there are also some career pathways that don't necessarily require a specific degree in order for you to be able to go into that area. So if you do have passions for other things, then maybe, there are kind of ways that you can explore that as well. But I think you really need to work out exactly what it is about business management that's kind of caught your eye. Is it that you are passionate, that you are really, really passionate about that particular subject area? Or do you think you have to do that course in order to kind of get you to where you need to be? But you can do lots of research around particular career like areas, and seeing what sort of courses might be of interest. For instance, this is separate from business management, but a really, really great example. I have a friend that works within games design, and actually, don't know if people know, but you can be an illustrator, you can be a graphic designer, you can also have done a marketing degree, and also done business management degrees and like accounting degrees, and still work within games. So if that was your passion, for instance, you can do all of those things, art and design. There's not millions, there's lots of different options for you, if that is your particular passion. So I think definitely have a look at particular career areas and just see what sort of degrees enable you to go into that, and then kind of see whether it's the right one for you.
Can we wrap up now? We're going to wrap up now.
Gosh, yeah, it's sad. It's 6:10 already.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I've only got a few questions left. I'm really sorry to not be able to get through those. There's just one about volunteering. I just wanted to make a really quick point. If because of COVID you haven't had many chances for face-to-face volunteering, and you're planning on going to university next year, I'd recommend getting online and having a look to see what digital opportunities you could do, because there's loads and loads of, I think on my apprenticeship, is that right, Soph?
Yeah, so
internships, for example,
the
you can
Forage,
do.
they're exactly the same company.
That's the one,
the
yeah.
Forage, or if you went on to Rate My Apprenticeship, you'll also be able to find it on there as well. So the Forage have tons of different work experience opportunities as well, and you can also maybe email companies, and they might still be able to kind of onboard you, so that's kind of bring you into the team voluntarily virtually as well. So there's still lots of different options, and there's a lot out there that you can still do, definitely.
Okay, and there's just one I think we should answer. Does experience need to be recent, or could it have been 3 years ago? It's how you use that. Do they need to know it was 3 years ago, that experience? Just think about what you learned within that experience is the way you want to use it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's still valuable. Just doesn't matter.
What you learn is still extremely valuable, and as long as you've got the experience and being able to kind of back it up with like an example, then it's definitely relevant.
100%. Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you so much, everyone. It was really, really great to get so many questions. If you have found this helpful, please do pop it in the chat or just say in the Q&A. It would be really, really usul to know if this workshop was good for you, because we really enjoy putting them on. Oh yes, we had a couple of people saying, thank you very much. That's lovely. Do join us for the rest of our Get Into Uni week. I think me and Natalie are back for student finance on Friday if you want help with your student finance, and there's lots and lots of other live subject taster sessions. I think tomorrow is a very, very big day. We've got some creative sessions. We've got really, really busy. So please do join us. Very, very easy to sign up to any of our events on our webpage. And don't forget, this recording is getting sent to you. There'll be a link to the workbook in case you didn't pick up. We have a workbook you can use. We wish you the best of luck. We hope this has helped, and good luck with your applications. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.